Today we're gonna go fishing for stocked pond trout. For a lot of people, these ponds are places to go to feed ducks and to birdwatch. But it may come as a surprise that a lot of these ponds are full of rainbow trout. Today I'm joined by my good friend Ian. He's a good fisherman and a great hunter by his own right. Usually you'll find him diving or spearfishing, but today he's joining me for some good old stock trout fun. It's been a dry year here, so many of the lakes are dried up. But with the last couple of rains, we're hoping that there are some fish left over that are hungry. We start our fishing day in what is called Pond 2 of the 3-pond chain. It's mostly shallow, but there are some deeper areas closer to where the fountain is.
Okay, there are people in the spot that I wanted to fish, but that's not to worry because can just about cast around the whole pond, and somebody moved into the other spot. Whew. Talk about competition, man. Yeah, combat fishing today. You'd think that the action was hot. Show you guys my setup here. I got an old Shimano Sedona 2500. It's old, but it works. It's smooth with a mediocre rod, a kind of 6-foot medium light rod. Let's go over the ratings on these reels. This one's a 2500, so it's a little bit bigger. It can handle bass. It can handle, a couple of inshore rockfish and things like that. And I use it just about for everything. The ones, like 1000 or 100 or 10s, they're usually the smallest reels. And for this type of fishing, you can use a 1000 reel, no problem. Or 3000 or 300 size is probably pretty good for like bass and striper. I think I use a 4000 for salmon. I've got 4-pound test P line on there. Some really good line. Don't cheap out online, buy some nice stuff. Okay, let me show you guys my rig. So I'm gonna make a Carolina rig, but this is a very simple version. All I've got here is just a small egg sinker, a split shot. So all you do is just roll that sinker down there. Use pliers, not your teeth. Grew up using my teeth. Not too happy about all that lead exposure. There we go. Put the guy in there. And give it a good down pinch. Make sure it stays in place. Good. I was thinking that maybe the fish, and I don't know if they're smart enough, because they are pretty dumb, stock trout, if they can actually feel the metal, the cold metal or not. Now, why doesn't somebody paint the hook? So that's what we got here. There goes my $1 million invention. I'm just gonna tie, I believe this is called an improved clinch knot. Let me start spinning that guy. Like 7 or 8 times. That should be enough. Stick it down through, and here's the key. So you go back in through where the 2 lines meet, and you come back in the loop that you've created. That is the big key. It takes it from being like a knot that'll hold 60% of its strength. So with 4-pound test, that would mean that it really breaks at 3-pound test to a knot that holds up to 80 to 90% of its strength. And that means a lot in the, especially in the small pound test world. The reason for this particular rig, this sliding rig, is that what you see is you got a hook down the end, you got a sinker, and the sinker's pretty heavy. Normally, if the sinker is attached to the line, when the fish pulls this, it'll pull a big giant weight. And if it pulls that big giant weight, it may get scared and let go. But with this rig, a lot of you know, what happens is that it pulls and all it feels is that little tiny tin split shot. Slides right through. You get the line, you get the bite detection right into your rod, so you get a better bite detection, and the fish doesn't feel it. Oh, secret bait. That's right. There's a lot of power bait out there, but there's only one gulp power bait. Remember my little secret? Make a little pyramid and then stick the hook in there. Key is that the point is at the base end of the pyramid. So what happens is it'll be floating like that in the water. Got your hook up top. Fish takes it from the top. Got a good positive hook set. See that? Pyramid, kind of. What we're gonna do is we're gonna drag it down, and the weight of the bobber is actually gonna bring the line taut. So what this does, you saw I clipped it there. When this fish takes that line, okay, it's gonna pull. And when it pulls, normally it would feel the weight of my rod pulling back against it. Now, for hardy fish like bass and maybe walleye and such, and bluegills and red ear, they probably wouldn't care about that, the flex in the tip there. But these trout, this day is the day before the stock, which means that these trout are going to be wary and they're going to be very, very sensitive to everything. So what you do is you clip that little bobber on. When the trout pulls the line, this bobber goes up. You see this bobber weighs almost nothing. Bobber goes up, and that's how you know you have a bite. Unclip the bobber, set the hook.
I've got a bite here, but here's one of the problems with power baiting. If the fish doesn't swallow the hook, it may just take that bait off the hook and not actually have it in its mouth. So you have a problem here. Either set the hook as it bites or let it swallow the hook. If you suspect that the fish has taken the bait, you can reel it in slowly and not set the hook. That way you won't scare the fish and cast to the exact same spot. You might just get a bite again. You can see here, the fish isn't of that great condition. This was a couple days after the stock, and some of these fish here were pretty tired looking. They had probably just started biting, to be honest, eating stuff besides those food pellets. A lot of times fish that have just been stocked won't exactly bite for a couple days. That right there is called an operculum. It is the bright part on the cheek of rainbow trout. Very pretty to look at. Now the other technique we're using today is the bobber technique, but we're using it very unconventionally. Most people will use live bait under a bobber or even go on to using a lure. However, today we're going to be doing something else. We're using a jig head, but we're going to be putting power bait under that jig head.
You can let it sit and have it do nothing. You can reel it slowly. You can give it little twitches. It just depends on what the mood the fish is in. I'm going to try twitching it for a little while first. Action. Big action. It's trying to jump. Whoa, that's not smaller. Oh, and it came off too. Actually, I think it's about the same size.
Yeah.
Yeah, brothers.
Such quality fish.
Dude, I'm telling you, man.
Look at that.
Oh, the rainbow. See the pink line? That's always nice to see. And the big shiny little cookie, cheek cookie. These guys have kind of small eyes. They're probably from the hatchery right down the street. Yeah. Now, if you know me, you know that I can't sit still. So what I'm gonna do with this second one is we'll try a different technique. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run a jig head. When you do run a jig head, make sure you have a little file and you file that hook point, because oftentimes they don't come sharp. If they're sharp enough to stick into your nail like that and not just slide across it, then they're sharp enough. I think I'm gonna go with a Palomar knot this time. So the Palomar knot's good for like 85–90% strength retention, and simple clip-on bobber. This is gonna be short because I don't think that water's that deep anyway, so we're going, that looks like maybe about a foot. Gulp power bait. There we go. Put it right in there. Go this way. Tighten it real nice. Make it shaped kind of like a bug. That's it. A little bug. A little bright golden glittery bug. I got a strike earlier, but I was distracted.
So what I'm trying to tell you here is that I'm casting in a diagonal way that allows me to cover more water than just casting straight out. Casting and retrieving this way allows me to cover the most area as possible in that creek channel. Okay, my cameras both just died, and you know how they say that GoPros are bad luck? Double hookup right now. That's a nicer one. Yeah, I got a par marked one, and he got a little bit longer one. It's a curse of the cameras. I had the cameras on and nothing. But turn the cameras off and double. Hey, that's a nice one. That's a nice one. That's a very nice one. Yeah. There you go. Oh yeah, a little Woodward Park steelhead. Right there. Oops. Today was just supposed to be B-roll. I guess it's A-roll now.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah. We ended this day with 4 fish apiece. That would be an okay day actually. The problem with today was that they were more keyed in on certain live baits than all the artificial baits that we had brought. How do I know? The guys across the pond from us were absolutely killing it. But that's okay because we got our good share.
Back to Sportsman's Warehouse. This is Urban Trout Part 2. We're gonna try a little bit different technique today. This place is pretty awesome. It's like, I think it's better than Bass Pro. Let's see here. The trout section's all the way in the back. There we go. Fancy stuff. Gulp. $7. That one worked last time. Like, as in
it can be
really
a tough
worked.
choice trying to find the right power bait. In my opinion, if you're new to it, keep it simple. Buy something like garlic flavored yellow colored power bait. Leave it at that and buy other ones whenever you have time to experiment.
This is what I'm going to be using. P-line fluorocarbon 4-pound test. This stuff is really, really awesome. It sinks though, so that's what's different between that and regular monofilament. This stuff does sink, so it's not the best for bobber setups. The last thing you're gonna need is a box of jig heads like that. Cheap is fine. Bring a hook sharpener, and all these guys will just be about this, essentially be about the same. You can get something. I don't know. I like something with eyes.